director and said, "Hey, you heard about you retiring? What's going on?" And had been told that there was a job opening, he would have never that if that meeting had happened, we probably wouldn't know about him.
I hadn't realized that.
So we didn't know that either, but we had a chance to kind of ask some more about that process, and uh, so I didn't know that till after I'd sent in my paperwork. So I don't know that I don't have any negative feelings against them. I guess I just don't have as positive a feeling because of that one thing. Um, and then I kind of looked at the folks from Texas, the Strategic Government Resources, um, and they had done several good-sized towns all over the country, including one in it's okay, including several in Connecticut, and they're in a similar price range to the folks from Arizona, the Municipal Solutions, and I like theirs too. I guess so. You know, really, I guess between the two, I didn't have any great. I just picked the top three, but I didn't have any real strong feelings between the two. Although I do think there is some real value to going to a national company to attract national talent, because many of the people that have recently moved to our area have been from significantly farther away from New England than New England, you know, and so um, some of the same charms and things that they saw to move here may be the same thing to attract a manager from somewhere that's looking for a similar lifestyle. So I don't know. I guess the hindsight will be 2020, but I guess going into it, that's where I kind of am looking.
Thank you. Uh, you is that it for now? We can do some commenting or debating after we finish these presentations. So I guess I'm the last person that that voted or ranked these, I guess. I ranked MRI as number one because number one, Portsmouth, New Hampshire firm. They're not right in our backyard, but they're not in Texas or Arizona. Number two, they've done. I believe there was. Let me get this correct. They've done recently. Looks like about 10 placements in Maine, 67 in New Hampshire, 55 in Mass. So they're very regionally devoted to the New England area. So that might be an advantage for us. They are doing it on an hourly basis because they feel like some places require more time and some people are less time. I think if I was to add a word that Mike said, I would add an amendment or a caveat that it be capped at, like, say $15,000, 100 hours of work, something like that. Most of these, the top two guys, my second one is Municipal Solutions, but let me get back to the first one. Both those companies in their proposals talk about anywhere from 75 to 150 hours of work to do this process. So if you apply that to the $100 rate, we're in that $12,000 to $15,000 range. I ranked Eaton third only because their proposal was a flat fee of like half that amount of money, and so it looked like they were pricing themselves way under the market. The other concern I have about Eaton is that they're an Augusta firm, but we have 16 or 17 vacancies in Maine open right now. Likely they are engaged with 2/3 of those communities already. So, we don't know if MRI or MS Municipal Solutions is engaged with any of these folks or not, but it's probably a pretty good chance that Eaton is already engaged in finding homes for people to fill those other jobs, and we're just going to be another paying customer in that group, and I think we'll get better service from somebody regionally. So I don't disagree with your choice being number one, but that's how I view it, is that there's a lot of other groups that are going to be competing with us right now, and I'm a bit concerned that they were that much less money up front than everybody else's. I like the 2-year warranty. Hopefully we'll never use it, but I think Municipal Resources, I think in their proposal, if they were asked to do it on a second time, that there was a discounted fee if they were asked to come back to do it again. So both those proposals from Municipal Resources and Municipal Solutions show timelines of 12 weeks to 16 weeks. So it's pretty, there's at least a calendar laid out there. Whereas we didn't get that proposal from most of the other ones, so that's why I rank Municipal Resources first. I think any of these top three that have circulated amongst us are clear winners. It's apparent that we definitely need to go down this road, so it's just a matter of deciding who it's going to be and make a decision and move forward. So.
I just noticed looking at MRI's references that they did work for Presque for Jim Bennett in 2011.
It was a police department study that was done. So I don't know if that went around council.
This is before my time.
If that went around council or if Jim just selected them and did it.
I remember them doing it. I was on the council when it happened, and I think it was in and about the time that we were talking about the budget, the union, and I believe the makeup and setup of the department at the time, because at the time we had our new chief, and so I think that was, it was more of a, it wasn't selecting anyone, but it was more of a procedural study on makeup of the department and design of the department.
Yeah, it's listed as organizational
Yeah,
study.
that's what they had done that I recollect. Yeah.
There was
They didn't
one
hire anyone, though.
one interesting comment, and you guys might have picked up on it. One of these 5 groups that answered our request for proposals seated someone in Alaska. So if they can seat some of the in Alaska, they can seat them in Presque, Maine. So but I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. Well, let's go to Gary and Doug to wrap up our opening comments.
Yeah, my first pick was MRI. For one, because of the dollar amount, and two, I think we should definitely look at some sort of a cap also. But their proximity to where we are, for one, and all the different municipalities that they've worked with throughout the years, I think they've got a pretty good outreach and in a good price point to start. And then number 2 was probably Eaton Peabody, and 2, they're from New England also, which I think would be a better fit for us. And then the third pick was the Maine Municipal Association, and I think they've got a pretty good outreach as far as, knowing who needs placement and what municipalities. So that would be a pretty good pick also, but go back to MRI for the first pick, I think would be our best bet.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Gary. Hi, Doug. We're just going through comments, opening comments and stuff, so.
I would mimic what Gary said. I don't think there's really much competition in my eyes from MRI to the next party, with a setting a not to exceed. I think the ones from way out of the area are, I know some of you have had opinions that was a more reasonable figure. I think that's kind of excessive. Spend 22 or 28 grand to hire a city manager. I think those entities are likely dealing with city managers that are overseeing much larger cities, and thus their salary is probably higher. So if you're looking at a city manager that's, you know, pulling 300,000-400,000, it's one thing to spend 20 or 25,000 looking for one. So I think those are just off the table. But yeah, the MRI and then Eaton Peabody and then Maine Municipal. Maine Municipal didn't really appeal to me. They haven't in the past in other things, but they're still not $25,000. So.
Look, Martin, I've got 5 votes for MRI, and
Mr. Chair, can I make a motion?
yes, Mr. Councillor Chassie.
Can I make a motion we engage MRI at an amount not to exceed $15,000 for a city manager search?
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Gary. Is there any further discussion? Which this we can. Yep.
That's a lot of money.
15.
I
So
mean,
you came in a little later, Doug, but one of the presentations, and I'm sure you've seen it, but just let me point it out that some of these guys are showing anywhere from 75 to 150 hours of work. So if we applied their hourly rate to 150, we're in that $15,000 range.
if you max out, I mean, it says estimated 50 to 75 hours that MRI
That's an
felt that they would
that's
use.
an average.
So wouldn't you want to go for an average?
They're only going to bill us for how much they use. So we're
I-
saying not to exceed this amount.
Yeah, you got someone comes in your store and says, "I got 30 grand to spend on a side by side." You're gonna sell them something that's 29 grand.
I won't-
Sometimes we do.
I welcome an amendment. If you want to take that out, I welcome it.
I mean, some of these other ones had budgeted 10 grand. I think that's plenty. And if you don't find anything by then, you can always add on to it. But you don't need to show them all your cards at once.
Well, I don't think they're asking us to give them a budget.
They don't need to see the proposal.
No.
We just need to know who we're selecting
Right.
and then hear what their proposal is. I'm hoping that a lot of this is done by Zoom, which will, because I'm assuming that if we select this guy from Portsmouth, that we're going to be paying them from minute one once they jump on the interstate and come up here. So
Can I modify my motion?
you certainly can, because it's your motion.
Yeah, I make a motion that we engage MRI for services to select the city manager.
There you go. And Gary, you would have to agree.
Yeah, I'll second
Okay,
that.
so we have an
Yep.
amended motion. And since you guys made it, we don't have to vote on the amendment, so.
Okay.
How about more comments on the discussion?
That is a good point that the distance likely is not going to impact us as much now in 2023 with the Zooms and stuff. I can't imagine they're, even themselves are wanting to go fly out to,
Oh, no.
New York to interview someone when they can do it on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I-
only going to work in our favor.
My anticipation is that they're gonna wanna meet with us as a group, decide how we want to be engaged, whether it's full board or a working group, or who's gonna be involved in that working group, who our point person's gonna be. And then I think it's gonna be a lot, 6 or 7 weeks of them presenting our pitch to prospective candidates, and they're gonna select that, narrow that down, and then bring us another meeting, which could be at Zoom, and I think in the end, it's gonna be personal interviews, I would hope. So, I agree with you, it's nice to keep the money down as low as possible, but I think you get what you pay for, and if we selected a very low amount and pinned them in, we might not be happy with the results. And also too, I would want to, when we speak with our candidate, our selected candidate, I would hope that they would not have any problem of us advertising this locally, because I think that was maybe a mistake that the industrial council didn't make before, because they relied on the consultant to do everything.
Oh yeah, it's
And-
gotta be
and-
local too.
It was obviously a great stroke that we were able to put the deal together the way it was, and in speaking with the former director and some of the board at the industrial council, if they had to do it over again, they would do it exactly the same way, but they would also broadcast it a few times locally, which I believe we have already put that notice out.
Right.
I think that we should be able to do that. So,
Great.
any other comments about the motion in front of us?
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to just skip discussion, but I'm on my way out as a counselor, and it seems like the majority of you guys that are sticking around want MRI. So that was my second choice. I'm comfortable with it.
Wouldn't you agree that any of these are pretty good?
Mm-hmm.
Real good.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of the motion as presented. All those opposed? 6-0. 0.
Great.
Great. Thank you very much. Is there any other business before us today?
Council, just the other notification that we do have the positions of 2 department head positions, facilities and the public works director. Those are coming, those applications are coming due at the end of this week actually. So we could start the committee meetings if there were 2. I had 2 counselors listed before. I didn't know if you want to have the 2 same counselors involved.
Which
in those reviews.
working group is this, Martin?
For hiring. So we talked about for the facilities, I believe it was counselors Jake and Mike that were involved with that, but we haven't discussed public works director. I didn't know if you wanted to have 2 other counselors involved or just have the same counselors involved in those. But we can start meeting next week for that review process.
Public Works was Jake and myself, and I believe
Jake.
Facilities was Jake and Craig.
Right.
Correct?
I don't mind continuing on.
Me either.
Nope. Anybody else want to toss their hats into those? No? Think you've got your list then, Martin?
Yep, that's perfect. That'll work.
Is there any other announcements, Martin?
That's it.
The next regularly scheduled meeting for the Presque City Council will be on Wednesday, September 27th at 5 p.m. for executive session and public meeting at 6.
Mhm.
Seeing no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Some
Moved by Mike, seconded by Jeff. All those in favor? Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good day.
you 2 guys.
Now we can have lunch.
I'm just starting my work day.
So council, I'll
City meeting.
notify them and I'll make sure they have all your contact information and you can start on the process right away.
Yep. Good. Wonderful.
Oh,
Great
sure,
news.
sorry. Yeah, I'll see you, Mike. Take
Super.
care.
Yep.
See you, Mike.
We can go in the other room and have lunch unless that room's being
Oh.
used.
No, I think so.
Okay, that's all free.
Hi, I don't know if you have a second. I could grab you just to do like a quick statement.
Sure, sure,
That would be great.
sure.
Doug, thanks for your comments about the forestry proposal. Appreciate that.
Well, honestly, I had something completely different. And then I started looking at the acreage, because the map made it look like it was a lot more acreage.
It's not that much.
No. And,
Actually, the forestry guy got back to me this morning. He estimates the whole thing's 25 acres. The whole thing.
so,
And that's if we participated.
right, so I'm wondering if that's why he's trying to get us to participate.
It is, because it's almost too small a job for the university. For them to do just the university.
Leave those poor woods alone.
Yeah. No, if you were talking $100,000 or something, you gotta look out for the taxpayers. You're gonna spend, or you're just gonna cause multiple times over of headaches and
Unforeseen issues. The roads. God knows what else.